Below is a picture of the rectangular coordinate system. This consists of an x-axis and a y-axis drawn at a right angle. So this axis here, we call the x-axis, and the vertical one is the y-axis. Could even draw arrows on the end of it if you'd like. So basically these are two number lines and they are perpendicular to each other. So where they meet, we call the origin, and they're at a right angle from one another. So to understand how the rectangular coordinate system works, a good place to start is by just plotting some points. So any location that you choose in this coordinate system has an x value and it has a y value. We call these points, and they're represented x, y. So that is the first number represents where you are on the x-axis, and the second number represents where you are on the y-axis. So like I said, let's try plotting a few of these. I'll just make a couple up and see what they look like. For example, if we start with 0, 0, we call this the origin. X equals 0 and y equals 0 means you're starting right here. If we start changing the numbers to plot a different point, so I'll just mark this is 0, 0. If we wanted to plot the point, let's say 2, 6. This 2 represents where you go on the x-axis, and this 6 represents where you go on the y-axis. So starting from your origin, you're going to go 2 places to the right, and then up 6 places to this spot here. That is the point 2, 6, and I'll mark it with a circle. Maybe just to get a couple of others. What about -5, -8? So again, here we have, all right, that's the x coordinate, and this is the y coordinate. So we start at 0, 0. We go 5 places to the left on the x-axis, and then we go down 8 places on the y-axis to this location right here. This is -5, -8. Maybe just a few more. How about 4, 0? So this is your x coordinate and this is your y coordinate. We start at 0, 0. We go 4 places to the right. We do not move up or down, so that means we're actually located right here on the x-axis. So that is 4, 0. And a similar one would be, well, what if it was -10, 0? This is my x value. This is my y. I would start at 0, 0. I would go 10 places to the left. I'm not moving up or down. And that is its final location. So, I could have picked any spot or any pair of points, but the idea is the first coordinate tells you how far you're moving left or right, and the second one tells you how far you go up or down. So let's do this idea backwards in example 2 where, okay, this time I'm actually drawing the points and it's going to be our job to come up with what the coordinates are. So we want to find things that look like x, y. We can start with any one that we'd like to, but I think I'll begin here. To figure out the coordinates of this point, we can look down to the x-axis, and I see that the corresponding x value is 4. So when I construct what this point is equal to, I know x must be 4. Likewise, if you look over to the y-axis, the corresponding y value is 5. So the coordinates of this very first point should be 4, 5. And we can check this by starting at the origin. I would go 4 places to the right. I go up 5 places, and it definitely takes me to this location. So there's my first point, 4, 5. Okay, now I'll move to this one here. If I first look at the x coordinate, it's -5. And if I look at the y value, it is +2. So for this red point, looked like x was -5, y was 2, and we can again check by saying, okay, starting at 0, 0, if I go 5 places to the left and up 2 places, okay, I definitely end up at this point. Okay, for this other spot, okay, here, since I'm actually on the x-axis, it has to be -7 where it meets. So I'm going to start drawing this one as the x-coordinate is -7. And the corresponding y value, if you look over to the y-axis, since I didn't move up or down, I'm currently at y is equal to 0. Just double checking by going backwards, if I start at 0, 0, I would first go left 7 places. I would not move up or down, so that is definitely the correct spot. And for this final point here, all right, this one's located on the y-axis. That means if I look up to see its corresponding x value, it's 0. And the y value is, since we're on the axis, it's -2. So working this one backwards, I would start at 0, 0. I don't move left or right because x is 0. And I drop down 2 places to -2, and I end up at the point. And for example 3, our ultimate goal is going to be not just plotting points, but if I were to give you an equation, can we sketch its graph, the entire thing? So understanding how points work is a really great start, because if you want to sketch a graph, you would start by just plotting a few points. So for this question, I'm given the equation y is equal to 2x plus 1. And over here, I have 2 coordinates. I'm writing this as 1 comma y. The second one is x comma 5. I want to find the missing coordinate. That is, I want to find a number for y that makes this expression true. So let's write this out. For this point, I know that x is equal to 1, but y, I do not know what that's equal to. If this point lies on the graph of y is equal to 2x plus 1, we actually can figure out what y is equal to. The way I'll do this is by taking my equation, I'm going to put 1 in place of x, so I'll place it right here, and then I'm going to solve for what y is equal to. Let's check it out. We get y is equal to 2. I'll put 1 in place of x and a plus 1 at the end. Y is equal to, well, that's 2 plus 1, and if I simplify it, I get y is equal to 3. X equals 1 corresponds to y is equal to 3. That means my coordinate I can write as 1 comma 3. X is 1, y is 3. If I were to plot this point, I would start at the origin, I would go 1 place to the right, I would go up 3 places, and I do wind up on the graph that I've drawn. So that is 1 comma 3. So that's what it means to find the missing coordinate. If you choose an x value and you find the corresponding y value, it should show up on the graph of your equation. All right, now let's try this with x comma 5. Okay, if we look at this one, I now know what y is equal to. That's the given information, but x, I don't know what that is equal to. I'm still going to use my equation y is equal to 2x plus 1 to figure out what x equals. I'm going to put 5 in place of y, and then I'm just going to leave 2x plus 1 alone. To solve this equation, I'll subtract 1 from both sides. I get 4 is equal to 2x. I'll divide both sides by 2, and I get my final answer. 2 is x, or if you'd like, x is 2. So that means if y is 5, x must be 2. If I write that as a point, that's 2 comma 5. So let's see if that shows up on my graph as well. So I start at the origin, I go 2 places to the right, and I go up 5 places, and I end up on the graph again. So this is like the introduction for trying to sketch a graph. What you do is you just try to find points that make the equation true.